If you'd asked anyone outside our house, they'd have told you we were the perfect family. Sunday breakfasts around a polished wooden table, birthday surprises that felt almost theatrical, and a warmth that seemed unshakable. But behind those carefully arranged smiles was something far more complicated, something I didn't fully see until it was too late. My mom had a way of making her voice sound like the truth. No matter what she said, it wrapped around you like a soft blanket, warm and convincing. I grew up learning that her word wasn't to be questioned, it was to be followed. My sister, on the other hand, always had a quiet strength. She was the calm one, the steady one, the one who never needed anyone's approval to breathe. I admired her for that. And maybe, if I'm honest, I envied her a little too. Our family had its rituals. Every Friday night, we'd sit together in the living room, Mom in her favorite armchair, the rest of us curled up on the couch watching old movies. My sister would roll her eyes at Mom's commentary, and I'd laugh, pretending everything was perfect. But lately, there'd been a shift. Mom's eyes lingered longer, her words sharper, her presence heavier. One evening, as the credits of another film rolled, she looked at me in a way she hadn't before, intense, probing, like she was weighing me for some purpose I couldn't name. You know, she started, almost casually, sometimes the strongest loyalty doesn't come from rules. It comes from understanding the things no one else dares to face. I didn't know what she meant, but something about the way she said it made the air feel thinner. She began involving me in small family matters that never reached my sister's ears. Private conversations, whispered plans, decisions that suddenly required my input. At first, I felt proud, like I was finally being trusted with grown-up responsibilities. But beneath that pride was unease, a quiet voice asking why my sister was being shut out. Mom brushed it off whenever I asked. She wouldn't understand, she'd say with that dismissive wave of hers. But you do. You always have. And like a fool, I believed her. Looking back, I see the signs clearly. The rehearsed words, the way she made me feel chosen, special. But at that moment, I didn't realize I was standing at the edge of something irreversible. The night it truly began, she leaned closer after everyone had gone to bed, her whisper soft but firm. I need your help, she said. And this stays between us. I nodded. Not out of courage. Out of habit. And in that single, thoughtless moment, the first crack formed in the wall of our family trust. The following days blurred into a series of carefully constructed conversations. Mom had a way of making her requests sound like destiny, like I wasn't just helping her, I was fulfilling some unspoken role I was born for. It started subtly. She'd ask for my opinion on private matters, painting scenarios in shades of urgency and secrecy. You see things clearly, she'd say, as if I were her confidant rather than her child. I didn't realize then how expertly she was pulling the strings. One afternoon, she sat me down at the kitchen table, her hands folded neatly in front of her. The sunlight slanted through the blinds, slicing across her face like stripes. Her voice was calm, deliberate. I need you to trust me, she said. There are things happening that your sister can't handle. But you're different. You're strong. I should have questioned her. I should have asked why my sister, the most level-headed person I knew, couldn't be trusted. But the way she said it felt like a compliment I'd spent my entire life waiting to hear. Then came the guilt. She spoke about sacrifices she'd made, opportunities she'd given up for the family. She reminded me of the nights she stayed awake when I was sick, the decisions she made alone when Dad wasn't around. All I'm asking, she said softly, is for you to help me with something important. Something that will protect us. Protect us. That phrase became a trap I didn't see closing around me. When I hesitated, she leaned in, her eyes locking onto mine. You love this family, don't you? Of course, I whispered. Then trust me. Sometimes love means doing things that others won't understand. Her words twisted inside me. She made loyalty sound like a test I couldn't afford to fail. She made doubt feel like betrayal. Over the next week, she isolated me from my sister even more. If I tried to talk to her, Mom would suddenly need my help with something urgent. If my sister asked questions, Mom would answer for me, controlling the narrative before I could speak. It wasn't a single conversation that convinced me. It was the slow erosion of my boundaries, the careful layering of guilt, trust, and manipulation until resistance felt pointless. The night she finally revealed her plan, I didn't even argue. I just sat there, listening as she explained it like it was inevitable. And the worst part? A piece of me wanted to believe her. That was the night I crossed the invisible line, not through action, but through surrender. I chose her words over my instincts. And from that point on, there was no turning back. The moment everything shifted didn't come with thunder or warning. It arrived quietly, like a shadow slipping beneath a locked door. Mom's plan wasn't some grand, elaborate scheme. It was subtle, personal, and built entirely on the power of secrets. She wanted me to become her ally in something that directly went against my sister's trust. It wasn't romantic or physical, but it was betrayal all the same. She confided in me details about my sister's private life, things my sister had shared with her in confidence, and she asked me to act on them behind her back. It started with a single conversation that Mom overheard between my sister and a close friend. A conversation that wasn't meant for anyone else. Mom twisted those words into evidence, into fuel for a plan she'd already been quietly constructing. "She's making decisions that could destroy this family," Mom said one evening, pacing like a general preparing for battle. "We can't let her do that. You and I will protect her from herself." Protect her. That word again. I remember sitting there, my stomach knotting, trying to understand how interfering in my sister's choices was supposed to protect her. But Mom's conviction was iron. She painted a picture where she and I were heroes, quietly correcting my sister's mistakes before they exploded. The first time I acted on her instructions, it was something small. I intercepted a message meant for my sister, redirected it, and told myself it was for her own good. But the second time, it wasn't so small. I shared something deeply personal about her with someone else, something she trusted Mom with, and watched as that information spread like fire through our circle. When I saw the look on my sister's face the next day, I knew something irreversible had happened. She stood in the doorway, holding her phone, her expression somewhere between disbelief and heartbreak. She didn't know yet who was behind it, but the damage was done. I avoided her eyes for days. Every time I caught a glimpse of her, guilt burned through me like acid. I told myself Mom was right. I told myself this was necessary. But at night, when the house was quiet, I replayed everything and wondered when exactly I had stopped being her sibling and started being Mom's accomplice. The breaking point came when my sister confronted Mom about the betrayal. I was standing in the hallway, listening to the sharp edges of their voices collide. My heart pounded as Mom denied everything effortlessly, twisting words, shifting blame. And then, she glanced at me. A silent signal. That look told me everything. She expected me to back her up. To lie. To choose her. And in that charged, breathless moment, I realized I had crossed a line I could never uncross. The confrontation that followed felt like standing in the middle of a storm I had helped create. The house, usually quiet at night, was alive with raised voices and shattering truths. My sister had finally pieced everything together. The messages. The whispers. The timing. All the signs pointed toward me. "Was it you?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Did you do this?" There was no accusation more painful than hearing that from someone who once trusted you blindly. I froze. Mom stepped in before I could speak, smooth and calculated, spinning half-truths like silk threads. "You're misunderstanding everything," she insisted. "You're being emotional." But my sister wasn't buying it anymore. Her eyes found mine, and for a split second, the entire room fell silent. That look, it was the kind that cuts through every excuse, every justification. "Yes," I whispered. "It was me." The silence that followed was worse than shouting. My sister took a step back like I'd become someone she didn't recognize. Maybe she was right. Mom tried to control the situation, talking over both of us, trying to redirect the conversation toward her narrative. But the truth was out. My sister turned to her and said something I'll never forget. "You used us against each other." That was the moment everything cracked. Years of unspoken tension, manipulation, and blind loyalty collapsed into a brutal honesty that none of us were ready for. My sister left that night, slamming the door behind her, and the sound echoed through the house like a final verdict. After she was gone, the silence returned, but it wasn't peaceful anymore. It was hollow. Mom tried to justify her actions in the days that followed. She said it was for the good of the family. She said my sister would thank us one day. But I had stopped listening. Her words no longer wrapped around me like truth, they felt cold, rehearsed, and brittle. I spent nights replaying everything, wondering if there had been a single moment where I could have stopped it all. Maybe if I had questioned her earlier. Maybe if I had chosen honesty over comfort. Trust, once broken, doesn't shatter like glass. It erodes like stone in the rain, slowly, but completely. We don't talk about that night anymore. Some stories become silent walls between people. And every time I see my sister, there's a distance in her eyes that wasn't there before. If loyalty is supposed to hold families together, then misplaced loyalty can tear them apart even faster. And that's exactly what happened to us.